trading happiness for a relationship.
Is it your spouse's job to make you happy?
Happiness ensues in the pursuit of something bigger.
The reward is not the achievement of happiness.
In the poorest countries, nobody talks about happiness. They make themselves useful and happiness appears.
The accelerant toward making us happy is the deletion of things.
Radical deletion.
Every goal we set should also have an equal vacuum, and it's what ushers it in. I actually wanted to ask, is it your spouse's job to make you happy? What do you guys think? We throw that block in here.
To the front.
And yes or no, if you could explain it.
I'd say no. And that's actually her question that she asked came from Anthony DeMello book. I can't think of the name of it right now. But what's that? Yeah. And he asked that to an audience because he was showing them how crazy they are. That they would stay in a relationship and trade their happiness for it.
Because that's not how it ought to be, and it shouldn't be sourced from anywhere but inside ourselves. And that's from, connection with God, higher power source, and passionate, purposeful pursuits.
Say that again, what you said. They stay in a relationship and trade, how do you say that?
Trade their happiness for it.
Trade their happiness for it.
Like people not wanting to cut people out of their lives, be it friends, family, what have you, that are just very toxic, unhealthy people. And the same in like a relationship. If you're just completely miserable and unhappy, I would want her to choose someone else. When I asked her that question from that book, when I read it, I paused and I was like, hey, Cassie, would you choose happiness with me? There's a right answer. And she thought about it for a while, and then she said happiness. I was like, perfect. Good.
Interesting. Okay, that's a really deep question.
And I hadn't read that book
Yeah.
prior to. It was after he asked me that. I was like, well, what book are you reading? I want to read it too. And I know Viktor office. This is good stuff.
I thought it was supposed to always be the same thing, and it was, that was basically the theme of my previous relationship, right? Where I was like, how come you're not making me happy? And I was like, oh, it took me a long time to learn that I was not happy, right? It's not no one else's responsibility to make me happy or satisfied or anything. It's like nothing. Right. And then it was literally, I didn't have the tools and the skill sets to actually go get my needs met. And I actually thought getting my needs met was weakness. You have needs. You need needs, right?
You need needs.
You have desires. Oh my gosh.
What did you say, Dylan? The avoidance side.
Right. Yeah, but it was like the patterns of what I'd seen all through growing up and all that. So Marley has watched me really, I think over the last 2 years, like just shred all those layers off.
It's so exciting.
Yeah, it's been cool.
Yeah. Pass the mic to Kayla.
Viktor Frankl wrote, can't remember if it was Man's Search for Meaning or another one of those, but there's an interesting thing going on
in our society where so many people are focused on happiness, and happiness is the goal. And I can't remember the quote, but he talks about happiness is really a byproduct. It really ensues in the pursuit of something bigger, more meaningful, of course, man's search for meaning, fulfillment, purpose. And my personal experience is the more I focus on, does this person make me happy or not happy? When I focus on my happiness, I'm less happy. It actually ensues. So in my role, it's not really a very good target to actually point towards happiness. And finding something more meaningful, bigger, seems more impactful. In the long term, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't have happiness. You should definitely not ignore it. I think everybody deserves to be happy. But when you overly focus on it, then it almost has an opposite effect. Does anybody else feel that way?
There's science behind that, isn't there? The direct pursuit of happiness itself tends to not result in happiness. It is literally the byproduct of going after other things.
The reward
end in that.
And the reward is the feeling that comes from the pursuit, not the achievement of happiness. Because you don't receive it, attain it, and you're like, I made it. Then what? And there were studies about even, we can talk about like cheap dopamine too, or the I think it's the dopamine that comes from someone that's just like given something versus someone that earned something. Like the kids that inherited their wealth versus the people that earned it. they are overall happier because they know what it feels like to pursue something, like that flow state, that productive, magical feeling that comes from breaking through friction. That friction and challenge is the gateway to flow state, the pursuit of happiness.
I try to find ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to find ways to actually stress our kids. Not in like a bad way, but like I want to put them in tension.
Yeah.
Healthy tension. And then just observe. It's not my job to like force an outcome. It's like the whole, what is that, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? He's like, remember he was having his kid cut the grass. He's doing a terrible job at it. And the neighbor got mad. The neighbor came over and he's like, African grass is terrible. And he's like, I'm raising kids, not cutting grass. Good line.
That's good. Monique, you got the mic.
Well, my heart just started jumping out of my body when you were saying that, because over the last year, I went through some things that challenged me in ways I never had. And I was sitting in this whole swing of, I was angry, I was mad, I was frustrated, and I was also, blaming myself, blaming another person. And I'm wondering like, oh, I was so happy. And then this happened. And it was like this happiness evaporated, and I couldn't figure out where it went, and I couldn't figure out how to get it back. And a woman entered my life who kept inviting me to yoga every Wednesday. And she was irritating me so much because I didn't want to go to yoga, because I didn't want to do that, right? I wanted to be had and kissy and all that. But she wouldn't stop, and then she offered to pick me up. And so I ended up going to yoga like 700 times. And
Wow.
I'm not kidding. We started going every Wednesday, then we went every Monday and Wednesday. Hot yoga.
That really worked. You really got her off your back.
She went all in. She's a committed Capricorn. I gotta love them. And then we started going to yoga in the next town over. So we had an hour drive each way. And one day she looked me in the eyes and she said, Monique, what you need to do is you need to focus on being useful and stop being so concerned about being happy. And it was like she stuck an arrow right through my heart. And you're so right. And so every day I was committed to, I'm going to be useful today. I'm going to make my kids' day. I'm going to cook from my heart. I'm going to look this lady at the grocery store in the eyes of and ask her what she's doing today. And I became useful. And my joy and my happiness was floating all around me. And it's that exactly. And I think it's really big in American society because I've lived all over the world and I've lived in the poorest countries. And nobody talks about happiness. They just make themselves useful every single day. They love their families. And like you said, happiness appears and it fills the room. And that is what I learned this year.
It's interesting to compare to what America versus the rest of the world is like in terms of happiness. We have everything at our fingertips. We are in a microwave economy. We have this instant gratification mindset that if something doesn't work, it's broken. Instead of maybe we just keep working at it. I heard this podcast the other day from a woman in Africa, and she was even talking about how, comparing to America, in America, you can call for anything. You can get Uber Eats delivered to your door. When someone falls out of a building, you call 911. They're there immediately. In Africa, you don't have that. You call Jesus. And they have such a different mindset, and they're happier.
It was very pure while we were there. We went to Nairobi.
Nairobi.
It was very pure because of that. And I love what you're saying as well. The life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Sometimes I'm like, I've thought about that line a lot. It's why my building at the top says pursuit of profit. Not that profit makes you happy after a certain point, right? But just pursuit. Work is the reward, right? I'm not working to an end. And I kind of thought that for a while. And I was talking to a guy yesterday about this huge political guy. And he was telling me, he's like, I was very successful very fast at a young age. And I was like, I kind of was too. And then I plateaued for a while. And we got in this big discussion about it. And we were talking about how really not knowing what you want is the beginning of all damnation in terms of not knowing where you're going, right? And that gut feeling, not knowing what you want, and like the benefit of wanting your wants, like just like Ben Hardy talks about, right? Want your wants unapologetically. But where I found the most momentum is to have a want, singular, such focus, cut away everything else. And this has been on my mind like crazy, that when we ever set a goal, we also set deletion that matches it, right? If we want to, this is what we were talking about. So he said, he's quite a bit older than me, and he goes, the biggest trick I've ever learned in life, there's an actual secret sauce. And the secret sauce is that you need to want your want so much you can feel that single want and desire in every cell in your body and then visit in the future, right? It's literally manifestation is what that is, right? Add the emotion, and then while keeping the future emotion, come back to the present, and you hold that emotion as if it's happening. And it creates literally a vacuum for your goals. And you start seeing things conspire for your sake, right? But what I found also as the accelerant towards the things we want and our purpose and making us happy is the deletion of things, right?
Radical deletion.
That's the phrase we've been saying a lot lately. Radical deletion. What can I get? We set goals, but every goal we set should also have an equal vacuum, and it's what ushers it in. We try to add so much to our lives, but if we don't also delete things, there's no place for it to sit. We're adding on top of literally a finite container, right? It doesn't fit in our lives. Of course, we're not going to get the goal. We're not literally making room for it. And so that's part of what I've been going through. Right? Marla's watching me very heavily in the last month go through that. Look at things that were the cheap dopamine things in my life and start one by one just killing them. And just sit in the discomfort of, what do I do with my hands, right? what am I supposed to do with myself? And what I found is that it actually creates a bedrock in our soul for whatever the goal is to actually have a spot for the seed, right? Otherwise, it's like you're trying to plant the seed on concrete. It's like, well, first I got to dig up some stuff, and it's hot out, so it's going to be sweaty. I'm not going to be uncomfortable, and I'm going to go through. I'm going to get blisters on my hands. It's going to be work to actually create the bedrock for the seed to sit. And the way we do it is deleting things from our life instead of constantly trying to add.
You said
I felt the most fulfillment in my life by doing that.
You said the thing about like trading happiness for a relationship, and that's a great example of having something that in your life that you're just used to. There's a comfort, but when you start to delete the things, even if they are comfortable, nature abhors a void. It has to be filled. And the only things that survive in nature are the things that are strong enough to survive, just how nature works. But if you are filling your life, your time, your mental capacity, like your brain capacity, you only have so much space and so many hours in a day. If you're filling it with any addiction, and it doesn't have to be substances. It can be addiction to chaos. It can be addiction to pity. It can be addiction to victimhood, addiction to
any form of numbing out.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you put the box over here?
Sorry, talking about it's unsustainable. Like I say that the supermarket is what accelerated anxiety in America. It used to be like, I need to go out and get food. I need to go out and farm. Like that's what took up our mental capacities. How am I going to eat today? What am I going to do? How am I going to provide for my kids? And then the supermarket came along, and then all of a sudden we just have so much more free space in our brain. And you looked at how we're going as a society right now, and you say that it's evolution, like it's not sustainable. If you look at America, I'm not going to be political, but it's not sustainable the way that we're going.
This is rare things. You can get political. Say whatever you want.
It's just not sustainable. It's completely. It's not. We're going to die out. It's Idiocracy, or the movie about Edie is coming to life, and we sit back and I can't even have an anxiety channel because I get banned because I talk about anxiety.
Oh, jeez.
There's another option than just popping pills, and it's so incredibly frustrating.
This is a whole podcast right here. We're getting heated.
It's infuriating because I listened to Steve 4 years ago, and he says, do one episode a day for a year, put out one post a day for a year. And I did that for 3 years, 200,000 followers, and then gone because it's anxiety, and nobody wants to actually hear the truth about anxiety. And even whenever I wasn't coming at it hard, like demeaning pill popping, just simply saying that there's a different alternative. And so anyway, I just don't see, you're right. Society has to come to a point of, are we going to make hard decisions and delete easy dopamine effects, easy dopamine, or are we going to
Yeah.